First request from Choosy Beggar was a weird experience. This happened 2 years ago. So I like to draw, but I'm no artist. I got a request at 8 a.m. from some guy who follows me, asking me if I did drawing requests. I don't do commissions due to my account size and lack of perceived ability. His request seemed innocent enough. 2 characters hula dancing, so I accepted the guy's request with no charge for practice. Half an hour later, he DM'd me asking if I was going to start right at that moment, insistent that I start right now. It was Friday morning and I was still in bed, but I got up, ate some breakfast and started drawing the sketch. Every 15 to 30 minutes, he would ask me for an update, so I'd send him a picture/screenshot of the art at that moment. He'd give me super specific criticism, the poses, the faces, it was driving me up the wall. He sent me reference images, screenshots of some other person's art, but because it was a request, I tried to do my own thing and he didn't like that. I started talking to my friends when I was halfway through with the drawing and they kept asking me why I didn't charge the guy. I didn't think he'd be this much work. After I finished the sketch, I just ignored the guy's criticism and finished the art because I was just so done with him but also in the drawing mood, continuing to send him a screenshot every time he asked for one. When I finished it, things got a little weirder. He asked me not to post it because he didn't want someone on the app to see it. I looked into that account and asked her about him. Apparently, the screenshots he sent me was art from this girl who he also harassed for a drawing of the same thing, being super rude and annoying to get a super specific drawing. That girl blocked him because he was stressing her out. Then he went to harass her friend to try to apologize to the original girl. The second girl's mom found out about it and even called him a pedophile. He was really specific about what my art looked like because he seemingly wanted it to look like that first girl's art. So that was a trip. I looked into the guy's account, which I admit that I should have done earlier, and his account was filled with, mostly his, a few from friends, drawings of various characters doing the hula, each one captioned with him trying to get the girl that blocked his attention. He did end up posting the thing I drew to his account and I thought that really jarring experience was over. And then a week later, he came to me asking for another drawing and I just flat out told him no unless he paid me. He whined about not having any money and, now I'm unable to celebrate my birthday, and I just ignored him. Then, every once in a while, he'd send me a new drawing of more characters hula dancing. I told him to stop and he sent me more a few months later, asking me if I could draw for him again and I finally had it and blocked him. Why I didn't earlier, I have no idea.
Choosing Beggars' mom almost ruins housing for college-aged son. I work in property management as a consultant in a college town on the east coast of the U.S. As you can imagine, it's a lot of young people. Oftentimes, a lot of college kids won't understand a lot of concepts like guarantors, conditional deposits, and so forth. I personally enjoy it a lot, especially as a full-time student myself. I love being able to interact with people my age. It's easier to connect, and I get a lot of joy from helping people understand things like this. It makes it a lot easier since I worked in banking for a little while. While a lot of people might think that this lack of understanding would cause a majority of the issues and problematic people we have to deal with, I would argue the opposite. In fact, I tend to deal with a particularly higher number of entitled parents rather than students. Like your typical helicopter parent who still desperately tries to control every aspect of their little angel's life, often at the expense of a student. Anyways, I had an interaction earlier that I think took the cake for one of the meanest parents that I've met. Not in the traditional way of yelling, screaming, and whining until your ears bleed, but rather, bullying completely random college-aged people. We're coming to the beginning of the summer, which means that college housing, for those who don't know, is wrapping up. This is because a lot of people, students and parents, prepare for the next school year during the previous school year. This includes choosing classes, getting jobs, and, importantly, finding housing. This is especially so for upperclassmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, who don't live on campus as much. It's possible, but off-campus housing is often nicer, and you don't have to share a bedroom/dorm. Because of the fact that we're coming to the end of our leasing period, we're quite short on available housing. We sell 1, 2, 3, and 4-bedroom houses. The leases last for a year, and we often have people renew. That's good for us as it means we have to sell less. It's bad for the college students who want to live where we are because we're a small community and places within the community are often pretty competitive. With that being said, there is a somewhat common situation that presents itself. This is when a student renews their lease, for example, in a 4-bedroom home, while their other roommates don't. For more context, each person signs an individual lease. This means some people can stay in a house while other people leave. In order to deal with this, my complex tries their best to roommate match. Essentially, try to match hobbies, interests, and personality types to minimize the conflict between random roommates. However, bear in mind this is not a requirement. We cater to a lot of students, but we aren't a student-only housing complex. With that said, one of the incentives to roommate match for my complex is that they make more money from the individual leases. More people that sign on, the more money. However, it's worth noting that this benefit does not extend to us as employees. We don't make commissions, so for us it's really just trying to be nice when we do it, because it is a considerable amount of extra work. Just because we try super hard to make people happy, it doesn't mean everything always comes to fruition. People fight, don't get along, or just don't match. We understand this, but we try our best. Anyways, we received a call from a mother earlier today. She'd been trying for weeks to get her son, a renewing resident who currently lives in a 4-bedroom by himself whose roommates left after the lease ended. Let's call her Karen. Let me stop here and say that I don't blame the son at all for his mom's behavior. Sometimes it's hard to control or think of the actions of the person/people who raised us as wrong, especially as the son or daughter of a person. Karen had been trying for weeks to find roommates for her son. A stipulation of our leases is that if you knowingly resign a lease knowing that your other roommates will not be renewing, that you are either willing to take the given roommate assignment, which again, we try super hard to match as best as we can but are not required to. So in the case of Karen's son, 3 additional roommates. Karen had been shooting down all of our roommate matches for weeks. She had given one of my co-workers an earful when she found that she would not be the one officially approving or denying each applicant for her son. Again, they are not their rooms to choose. They only pay for 1/4 bedrooms and within the unit. Following hanging up in my co-worker's face, it would seem that Karen decided that was either going to find her son the perfect roommates or get the whole townhome for her son, but either way she was not going to pay the nearly $2,400 for the 4 bedrooms. Each room is roughly $599. So, as mentioned, good ol', Karen continues to shoot down every one of the roommates that we find for her son. Also bear in mind that we are not associated with the university, so the people that we are giving her are other applicants that we actively have to search for in order to find. But as mentioned, Karen shoots one after another down. Finally, my manager asks Karen exactly what she wants, what kind of qualities, person, etc. Karen wants a graduate student or young professional for her son. This in itself is not an unreasonable request. Not everyone likes to party, despite the fact we are a party school, and we do try to accommodate requests such as these. Today, 3 young applicants came along. Actually, one came a few days ago, one yesterday, etc. We'd been compiling this list of people to go into the home who met Karen's specifications for roommates. We were essentially going above and beyond for no reason other than just being patient with her demands. Sounds dumb, but other customer service people get me, winky face. So, today my coworker calls Karen and explains the good news that we have found roommates that fit her specifications. Karen inquires about the qualities of the applicants, what they do, are they in school, etc. My coworker proceeds to explain that 2 of the students are graduate students and one of the people is a young professional, fresh out of college. The ages were about the same between residents, gender and personalities matched, and the specifications set forth by Karen were pretty much met. However, upon hearing that the other roommates were grad students, Karen very suddenly exclaimed, "EW, I don't want my son with a bunch of nerds. Find him someone else." Like, WTF, she's never met them. She had barely even heard about them. We had just pitched the idea to her, and they met her specifications, and she has the gall to say that they're too nerdy for her son. I took over the call and ended it somewhat professionally as my coworker was about to reasonably lose it. The guys were perfectly nice and seemed friendly, had similar hobbies among other things. It's such a shame to see a grown adult, Karen is 55 according to her profile with the company, bully actual college students. Especially completely and unnecessarily calling them nerds, which, for the record, just wasn't true, as when I met one of the guys he was jacked, and even if he was, why do you have to say it? Anyways, sorry for the super long rant. Shout out to my fellow college students. We'll see how it goes tomorrow when I get back to work. Say la vie. TL. Karen complains that the roommates we found are too nerdy for her son, despite asking for their type specifically. Hungry, but doesn't want me to buy food. Today when I was about to walk into the grocery store, I was stopped by an older man who told me that him and his grandson haven't eaten food since yesterday because they're on a road trip and his credit card was blocked for some reason. He asked me for money, so he can buy them food. I thought the story was odd and I didn't see his car or the grandson, but he seemed like a normal guy, didn't seem like he was on drugs or drunk, so I offered to get him something from the grocery store like bananas and a bag of chips. He declined immediately and said no, that him and his grandson need real food. I told him I don't have cash, but I can get him anything he wants from the store. He declined right away, seemed annoyed, and walked away. If you and your grandson are hungry, why would you decline the offer? I would have gotten him anything he wanted. He could have made a sandwich or eaten a pre-made meal or something. I guess I'm right to assume that the story was completely fabricated? Beggar gets angry when people keep pointing out the pantry. A beggar was begging in front of a grocery store. Her sign said need money for food and some other stuff. Across the street is a well-stocked pantry with limited space for more donations due to way too many donations. This pantry has more than just food as they also have cleaning supplies, diapers, clothes, used electronics, bedding, toys, etc. People wanted her to go across the street and use the pantry that was open. The pantry allows people to use them as much as they want to. She probably only wanted the money. Thank you so much for watching the video.
For more videos like this, please subscribe.